Chainlink hasn't been doing much over the past week or so, and the story is the same with the rest of the crypto space. It's almost been like watching paint dry. And while we had a downside setup in place, we ended up kind of aborting it over the past few days, although we've seen a lot more drama in the stock market, which we'll touch on momentarily. But here we are, May 12th, middle of the night. We had our low right around 527, 528, and we had a rally up off that low. And really not much has transpired since then. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. It looked like we may have had a 5-wave rally up, and you could actually count it better as 5 up when you count it this way. And it's not perfect, but we haven't really had anything suggesting any bearishness since. We had what looked like a 3-wave zigzag correction here and possibly a bounce, and maybe we are starting on some lower downside action, but we're seeing a lot of, we're seeing some rebounding across different cryptos. As of right now, Ethereum is up almost 2%. Bitcoin is also up about that much. Ethereum Classic's about 4% up. So we keep seeing a little bit of up and down sideways chop. Nothing particularly bullish or bearish at the moment. The alternate pattern is that we do have our ABC pattern up, and possibly we have a nested 1-2, 1-2 of some sort. So maybe a 1, 2, 3 long 4th wave, 5th wave, and then maybe we have some lower to go. Not totally sure. When you take a closer look at this pattern, could be an impulse, but nothing conclusive. Switching over to Bitcoin just to give us an idea of the biggest crypto and the sentiment associated with it. The story is much the same. Plenty of whipsaw up and down, but nothing particularly bullish or bearish. We're stuck in what appears to be a weird consolidation. Bitcoin Cash, which I've been using to represent the rest of the altcoins, is in a similar situation right now. We could have had some falter. We had several opportunities to break down and give us that lower low that would be pretty likely, at least in some of these coins, and we didn't get it. So shifting over the big picture, Chainlink actually not only hit its target zone, but it fell down below it all the way through it. And with that happening, we actually, well, we could count that as the end of the correction. When we look at this thing, we have our MACD divergence happening where we're getting less and less stretch to the downside as we've come down. So there's a lot of signs of bottoming. And while the retrace looked a little deep by our the standards of our box, when you count this whole thing, A wave down here from our May 2021 top to the B wave up here, November 2021, our 1.0 extension is the top of the box. Bottom is the 1.382. And you wouldn't want to go any lower than the 1.618. So we didn't hit that. And as of now, we're not seeing any clear signs of any downside action. So it looks like a healthy correction. And when you take the entire retrace based on the overall history of Chainlink, this is just a smidge deeper than a 38.2% retrace. So whether there's a 4th wave in a bigger pattern or it's a 2nd wave with a lot more upside to go, that remains to be seen. So look at that in a second. Now, the reason I keep bringing up the stock market is that we've had far more bullish action since our last update on Chainlink. A lot has happened. This is the futures. So I'm actually going to get rid of all my drawings just for a second. And well, we had some bullish action starting on May 12th. We had a 5-wave rally, but this best counted as a C wave up. In other words, A, B, and a C. If you look at the internal structures, that made the most sense. So we were suspicious that we had a nice 5-wave rally, and then we crashed and we had our lower low. That was on the 20th of May, so end of last week. And we've had a furious bounce with a clear 5-wave impulse, 3 waves down, and we may already be off to the races in maybe a nested 1-2, or this could be completing another 1st wave impulse within the 3rd wave, something like that. So there's bullish action in at least the S&P 500. The Dow is in a similar posture right now where we probably have 5 up. This could be a 4th, or this whole thing could be a 2nd wave with us about to launch the 3rd wave. Not exactly clear, but there's nothing bearish at the moment. We've already pulled back more than enough in those indices that I don't expect too much lower, but the possibility still remains. Maybe the S&P does get into the 3,700 range, in the lower 3,700s, something like that. So in the case of Chainlink, if we do end up breaking down from our high, that would project about, let's see, where did I put my Fibonacci extension? So this is actually no longer at, updated. So I'm actually going to build our Fibonacci retrace. So assuming that this low is possibly an impulse down, especially from here, that could project us down to right around 530 to 498. So just about where we were before. So not particularly lower than we were before. So we may see a nominally lower low, nothing to panic about. If you're looking to buy, depends on if you bought the dip back here or you're able to buy it since then. My advice is, if you're that risk averse that you're worried about buying, it's probably an indication that you shouldn't buy just yet, or at least put a small tranche down, maybe a quarter of your position or a third, something like that. It's often better to wait for a 5-wave rally up and 3 down, which we've had, although since then we haven't really had much of a launch. So it sometimes works better to wait for a bigger first wave impulse. So if I build our Fibonacci sequence, assuming that is a first wave and a second wave, that would require us to get up to at least $11, $12, and then we'd see a 3-wave correction. That would be your safer opportunity to buy. So no reason to panic. There's also no reason to panic sell. Again, a lot of the bearish action seems to be behind us. If we spike down, it would be very short-lived. Could be one spiky red candle down, and we could be bouncing up for the heavens relatively soon after that. My big picture chart remains exactly the same. Nothing has changed because we've been consolidating sideways. Looks like we could have that lower low, but again, it would be nominal. Other than that, look for some impulsive action. I know I've drawn this, make it look almost parabolic, but this is arbitrarily positioned. All I'm trying to demonstrate here is that we want to see a 5-wave rally up, clear impulsive form. And once we have our bigger rally, in this case, I'm projecting maybe $19 to $20. That second wave back down would be a good opportunity to buy. That could happen later in the summer. So I'll have plenty more updates coming your way. Subscribe so that you don't miss them. And until next time, thank you for watching and happy trading.